There's a new project rolling into the shop today. It is a John Deere wagon. And I've been wanting a wagon for a long time. When you go to car shows and you buy parts, you need something to haul your parts with. I want to make this wagon cooler. Maybe not the coolest one. I saw a really cool one at the car show last time. Maybe not that cool, but maybe the coolest John Deere off-road wagon at the show. Anyway, this is straight off of Marketplace. It was 20 bucks. I couldn't turn that down. It does have some rust. It does need some work. But hey, for 20 bucks. So I've got the wagon up on jack stands, just trying to see how high it needs to be to fit taller tires. Taller, wider, bigger tires. That may not be high enough. Anyway, that's the tires that used to be on the John Deere when it was a dually. I don't like them for mud mower tires. They can be great for a wagon build. But I think we've got to go higher. Let me set them all around there, see what it looks like. So this is exactly what I've got in mind. I've got 4 of these tires. They are terrible as mud mower tires. They'll be great for an off-road wagon. And I believe maybe lifted more so that when you turn the front end, it's not rubbing the wagon. I'm even thinking about getting the front suspension, the front end off of a mower and putting it under the wagon. In the back, maybe some kind of homemade, lifted. So the bottom of it looks good. The easiest thing would be just flip it over, sand it, and start painting. But we want custom. If you flip over to the inside, looks like the little bit of a dent here. Some dent, some surface rust underneath the powder coating. Anyway, we got some sanding to do, a little bit of body work. I think it's going to be worth it. Structurally, it's still there. We just got to deal with some rust. So I like the looks of the slicks, but we'll probably save that for a red wagon, maybe a radio flyer. Anyway, on the inside, I started scraping some of the paint off. Looks like it's all solid. Once you get the paint off, just surface rust. Got a lot of cleaning to do, but at least there's no rust holes. So I just came back from the dump. The finds this time, I got some scrap aluminum. This Ryobi gas powered blower. We're going to see if it'll start up. I don't know. I got a fire extinguisher. It still has pressure. I was thinking a mower muffler. And I got this wood. It's pretty wood. Maybe we'll build something out of it. Anyway, I came back from the store and I got this piece of 3/4 inch pipe. We're going to use this as our axle for the wagon. It was, I used a coupon on it, so it was less than $10. So we've got a total of less than $30 in the whole build so far. And if you're wondering about this 3/4 inch pipe, how does it compare to a mower? Perfect. So I've got the pipe in the wheels. This is how wide it's supposed to be. It'll be a little farther forward once we get the original junk underneath the wagon. And on the front wheels, we either have to find some golf cart hubs or change it to Troy-built wheels. Probably Troy-built wheels would be the easiest. And on the Troy wheels, this is probably the easiest option. They're 8-inch wheels. Sand them down, paint them yellow. Get a 3/4 inch drill bit. There's 2 flat spots where it used to go on the Troy-built rear end. Anyway, 2 of these, and then we're good to go. Let's go on a scavenger hunt, see if we can find a parts mower that wants to donate the front end to this project. So right over here, here's an old square body Craftsman. I don't think anybody's ever going to use it. It's got a front end. The boy was trying to lower it. He was doing a good job, then he quit on it. We could steal that one really easy. Let's see if there's any more options. For option 2, this one will be really easy to get. This is an Aaron's, but it's in really good shape as far as the floorboards, the rear fenders. It says gear drive. I don't have an Aaron's yet. All it needs is an engine and a hood, and we got another mower. And fast forward sneak peek on the Aaron's. I've got it in the shop. I've got to put a gas tank in it, maybe clean the carburetor, put a battery. It'll be ready for a speed run, and I'm going to keep it low like this, racing tires on the front, low tires on the back. Super big pull in the front, little pull in the back, and the goal is to make it the fastest mower yet, completely orange. I'm not going to tell you the theme yet, that's coming. For option 3, if we wanted to use this John Deere front end, it would be an original John Deere part. The only thing left good, the hood is in good shape. The V-twin, hopefully it runs. I got to change out the coils because the wires, the rats ate the wires. That one's going to be a little hard to get. You'd want to pull the engine first, then start chopping. I think for now I'm going to go with the Craftsman. Option 1, go with the Craftsman. And if we want to change it out later for this one, we can. So I think the next step, I'm going to strip this all the way down, take everything off of it, just be the pan. And then before we do that, I'm going to try to get this front end out. So it is the next morning. Here's the front end parts from the mower. That'll be the front end for the wagon. I think my next step, I'm going to strip down the wagon, get it down to just the bare pan. And we can clean that up, get some paint on it, start building the rear suspension, start building the front lift kit. here's a shot of the before and the after as far as the rear end goes. I think that's perfect. I guess my next step is to figure out how much of a lift kit we're going to need on the front. So we'll start working on the front now. So this is what it looked like without a lift kit. It looks pretty cool, but if you turn too sharp, it's going to rub on the wagon. And I don't want any rubbing on the wagon. That would be about 1.5 inches. Let's bring it up, maybe. This is 14. We'll just do a test with 14 inches of lift. So this is with 14 inches of lift. That might be too much lift. It's nowhere near rubbing on the wagon. We might rub here in the center on our lift kit. We could limit the turn so it don't turn too sharp to rub. I think I'll take it from 14, maybe down to 10 inches, see what that looks like. So for our front end, this is going to be the bottom, this will be the top. This came off the mower, this came off the mower. I think I'll cut this off here to save some weight. I've got to drill 2 holes, then I've got all thread, 4 pieces of all thread and 4 pieces of pipe, 8 nuts. Front suspension's done. Let's drill some holes. So I just got this plate off here, drilled these 2 holes. This mounts to the bottom of the wagon. I cut out 4 pieces of pipe. This is my lift kit. There'll be one in all 4 corners. And then I've got my all thread. I bought this last night. I'll cut it into, I already have this one. I'll probably cut them to match this. We'll have 4 pieces of the same length. Then this will bolt in like that. This times 4, it'll be ready to mount to the trailer, to the wagon. So this is what I have for the front. The lift kit's already installed. It's 10 inches of lift. I'm going to mount it right about there. And this just came to me. I think I'll just get some bed frame, go all the way from the front to the back, weld it here, have it turned down like this. I can pop a hole, maybe 4 holes, 4 bolts, and that'll tie the front to the back. Then we can start building the back suspension. Should be easy. So this may be the coolest shot yet. It's not attached to the wagon yet, just seeing what it looks like. The tire's going to be a long ways from the wagon. If we turn it, it'll start rubbing here pretty soon, but we could cut that corner off. If we turn it the other way, it'll go super sharp. Anyway, I'm not worried at all about hitting the wagon now. 10 inches looks like that was enough. And we got to figure out the steering, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Some kind of steering, some kind of handle. So I'm out with a wagon and I've got a piece of bed frame laying there. That is just the right size. It is a little bit too short. I'm thinking if I go a little bit past, I could have a holder for a cooler, either this cooler, that cooler, any small cooler could fit back there. And I've got these 2 pieces which are 48 inches long. If we put it on there, that would stick past about 1 foot. I think that's gonna be good enough. So I'm gonna go separate those 2 and we'll have 2 pieces of bed frame to go down each side. So the bed frame has been separated, it's laying in place. I think that's gonna be great. That looks like plenty enough trunk space for a cooler. Anyway, there's already holes in the bed frame. There's a hole here, there's a hole in the front. If we go to those, maybe put one more here, one more there, it'll be bolted to the pan. I think for the front end, I'm gonna just weld it here, weld it here, weld it there. Same thing on the other side. Front end's done, then we can start working on the rear end. So I moved the wagon up onto my workbench and I've got it clamped together in the rear. Up in the front, everything looks good. I think my next step, I'm gonna clean the paint off this, clean the paint off this, and we're gonna weld it together. So it's finally time to weld this together. I would have got more done, but I just ran to town, had to go to town anyway. Picked up these spacers. This is for a different mower, Emily. We'll get these installed soon. Now it's time to take it together. It's now time to pop some holes in the wagon to bolt it on. So I'm back to the shop, and this wagon where we stopped, it's looking more like a wheelbarrow. Anyway, I'm going to put the front suspension in. I think I'm going to spin it around so the steering will be in the front, and then we can start building the back suspension. So I've got the front end sitting in place. This is with the steering in the front. That's how I want it. If we thought the lift kit was too high, we could flip the axle over and lose about 5 inches. I don't think it's too high. So I've got the wagon pretty much sitting level now. If we take a measurement, it's about 21 inches to get into the wagon. By the time we put the tires on, that's going to lift it another 11 inches. So now we're up to 32 inches. Then if we put the sides, we'll be up to 42 inches. Maybe we should flip the axle over. Let's go ahead and do bigger is better. If we build this and we think it's too tall, wherever we drill the hole for the axle, we could drill it 5 inches higher and we could lower this thing real easy. Flip this over, move the axle up, problem solved. So instead of 32, it would be 27. We might not put the sides back on it. I don't know yet. So in the rear, when we take a measurement, I need 2 pieces that are about 16.5. I grabbed these pieces of bed frame, and what's weird, this is my axle. This one has a hole that is almost perfect on this end and on that end. This one has a hole, almost perfect. This one has a hole, almost perfect. I don't know what those holes are for on bed frames. Maybe if you can leave me a comment what you think it's for. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is just measure up, cut my 16.5 inch off. That's going to be my axle hole. I've got a 3/4 inch drill bit. I love using pre-existing holes. So for the rear suspension, I just cut, and it's not really suspension. There's not going to be any kind of movement. It's just going to hold the axle. We'll call it rear suspension, but it's really just rear end framing to hold the axle. I've got this piece. This will be for the other side. And I think I'll leave these brackets on. I could take a piece of metal between them and make a tow hitch back there. Anyway, the next step, I think I'll drill out this hole so the axle fits in there. I am doing some brainstorming for the bracing. I like the way that looks, but we had talked about cutting this off for turning clearance. Maybe I'll get this back leg welded in, get the tires and wheels on front and back, and see what we need for clearance. So in the back, I've got the rear tires and wheels on. I like the way that looks. However, this is a lot of leverage. This is a pipe. I probably should have got a solid tube. I think I'll try to take this one back and get the solid one. It's a little bit more money, but it's a lot stronger. And then up in the front, I've got a tire on. If we run a brace from up here to down there, I don't think that tire would ever hit, but I do want to cut this bracket off on a 45 just so we get a little bit of a sharper turn radius. So next step, let's cut this off. Let's figure out what we're going to do for bracing. Let's get the bracing welded in, get the front tires on. Maybe we'll run a 10 and try to change out that axle. And may have to pick up some John Deere green. So my angle bracket to support the rear end, I believe this is going to be perfect. I've got 2 of these. All I have to do is drill out 2 rivets on each. That's these 2. And then in the back, I've got this piece of aluminum that fits perfect here. I think it'd be better here. So I'll cut that off there. Couple holes, 4 bolts. That'll keep it from doing this. Then we'll have it braced that way. So I decided to go with the bed frame instead of the aluminum. This just matches better. Plus you can weld instead of drill. This side brace has been tightened in place. This back one has been tightened in place. Let's tack this one in place. So I just came back from the store. I picked up some green paint. I already had the yellow. You can tell by the dust on the lid. Anyway, I took back that pipe and I got a solid axle. That should be plenty strong. So we're going to have to drill holes in this for the pins. We need to make some pipe spacers. I need to put some bed frame here to finish the trunk off. These tires come off. These tires come off. Drill out that hole, paint these wheels. Then we got to work on the handle and the steering, and we're pretty much done. So for the wheel spacers, I've got this gray electrical PVC. That is a good fit. We might go with that. So this should be about how tall the wagon sits. I've got the back tires, the back axle in place. I need to go now and cut 2 spacers about 7.5 inches. 7.5 inches. And then we'll get those installed. I got to drill holes and put some pins in. Rear end's done. So the front end's over here on the floor. I just measured the width. It's 32 inches wide. This is 36 inches wide, so this will have your back tire sticking out 2 inches farther on each side. I don't think I want them sticking out further. I think I want it to be the same. So what I think I'll do, I just drilled this hole before I drilled the other hole on the other side, cut off 4 inches, 2 inches off that spacer, 2 inches off this spacer, then the back will be the same width as the front. So the wagon wheels are now on. I've got them greased up. There's a pin going through them. We are done. Except for painting, except for the rear hitch, except for this piece here, the back is done. The front, I guess we can get started on it now. Let's get rid of these jack stands. that's how it's going to sit. Here's the 4 inches I cut off. This should match the front now. So just cut off these 2 corners, and that's how sharp we can turn the tires. They should never rub. So I couldn't decide what to do on the back bumper, the back of the bed. If we do this, it's temporary. I got bolts holding in place. I just drilled a couple holes. If we were to flip it over, it'd hold the cooler better. If we leave it like this, it'd be better for sitting on. I think I'll take it back off, maybe round off these corners. Right now it's check at edges. Somebody's going to get cut on it. Then we'll bolt it on. So this is my 3/4 inch drill bit. I've got some oil. I've been drilling this hole, and I've got just a little bit left to go. So the drill bit has just made it all the way through. Now it'll fit on the wagon. So this wheel has already been drilled out. It's ready to go on the wagon. That one I'm in the process. You've got to go about 1.25 inches through the double D shape on the other side. Anyway, I'm going to take that front wheel off, put this one on, see what it looks like. And we could almost, if the table was about 1 inch lower, we could put it in the drill press, let the drill press do all the work. Anyway, let's get the wheel on the wagon and see what it's going to look like. So when we test drive the Troy wheel, I really like the way these Dirt Devils look. I need to do Dirt Devils all the way around. I could borrow 2 off the back of Silver Bullet, put them on some yellow wheels. We'd have 4 all the way around. That'd look really good. But for now, this one has water in it. It was on the John Deere back. For now, trying out the Troy belt. And Troy belt, they might cut corners. This is an area that was never painted from the factory. We got to clean that up and paint it. If you compare that to a John Deere, John Deere had an area that big that was not painted. We've already cleaned that up. It's going to get painted. Anyway, when we put this wheel on, and if you want to put a Troy belt wheel on the front of your mower, all you have to do is get a 3/4 inch drill bit, drill through it. If you want to put the kind with keyway, you've got to grind this off, and on an 8-inch wheel there's not a whole lot of room to get in there. I've done it before, but it's a little bit of a pain. So I prefer to do Troy belt wheels, just to drill through them. If you push it all the way on, it rubs, but there's enough room to put washers back there to space out a little bit, put your clip on, and that'll be good to go. Once we paint it yellow, get the tire on it, one more time we'll have all 4 tires matching. So where we got to tonight, I got both of these wheels drilled out. They're ready to go on except for cleaning and painting. And then the golf cart tires, I got those off. They're ready to go on now. So it's a whole new day on the wagon project. I took this part off the back of the mower that we took apart, and it fits perfectly between those 2 pieces of bed frame. It might stay. It'd be a good hitch point if you want to pull a little trailer behind it. Anyway, the 2 things we have left to do, we got to paint everything. Pretty much everything's got to be painted, and then we got to work on our steering. There's got to be some kind of handle that mounts up front. It's got to pivot and it's got to swivel. And I think I'll spin this around, make that face in front. That way we have something to mount our steering to. Let's do that first. Okay, step 1 is done. Of course, we did the easy thing first. We spun this around. Now we can start building on our steering. Then we get excited about painting. Then we can use this thing. So I'm right in the middle of the experimental phase, or the fun phase. Taking some scraps around here and seeing if we can make some steering. This is about the right distance. If we were to put a pivot point right about here, when you pull the arm that way, it would turn this way. This way is this way. Like, that's opposite of what we need. If you're pulling it that way, you don't want the tires to turn this. Take 2. So I've been testing random pieces laying around the garage. First, this one, it kind of worked, but not really. This one sort of worked, but it's got kind of a dead end if that's your pivot. And this one I found, it's already got the 2 holes here. It's got a pivot point there. If we line it up with the center of the axle has to articulate this way, and this will swivel this way. And then we'll have a handle out here that folds up that way. I just got to find some kind of stud coming down here that I can bolt to that will still let it steer. I think it's going to win. Basically like that. So I don't have this handle figured out yet, but the steering is getting close. I think I'll stop now and do a little bit of painting. All 4 matching tires are in place. It steers easy and it pulls easy. So I ran into a slight problem last night. I got the wheel on the front end. I got the clip on. When you spin it, it spins good. then it stops. If we go around to the other side, the tire is so fat, it's hitting here. On this one, same thing, it hits here, and I don't really know how to fix this except brainstorming. You could drill a hole and tap it and put a bolt in it, or what I'm thinking is weld a bolt on like this, and that's going to be too long, but we'll take this big nut as a spacer, this washer, a lock nut, problem solved. That's what it would look like. So I decided to go with a 5/16 bolt. There's more room to weld here. We now have clearance. So just completed a front end alignment. Now it's time to paint the front end and get it put in. So the wagon is all ripped apart. There's the front end, there's the bumper, that's going to be green. Here's the frame, I cleaned it up. It's about to go to the paint booth. We're going to make it green too. So everything now is John Deere green except for the pan. We'll do it later. Anyway, the frame is all green, the bumper's green. I think my next step, I'm gonna put it all together, put the pan on it, and then we gotta work on the handle. So my pipe is out leaning up against the Husqvarna, and I'm trying to figure out how tall to make the handle, how long to make the handle. This level is almost the right color, but I think I'll go green. This would be a 4 foot, 48 inch handle. That's about right. Maybe a little bit too long. Maybe we'll go maybe 40 inches. I am currently working on a handle that hooks onto this steering flat bar. I've got this piece out of a dumpster that went onto a swing. I took this one apart. This is the pipe that we used for the lift kit. If we get a longer piece, maybe 4 or 5 foot long, drill a hole in it, put the bolt back in, put these washers in, that should be done. Then we can sandwich these two together with 2 bolts on the flat bar. That end's done. Then we'll need a handle on the end of the handle. When it's all done, we'll paint it, and we can work on painting the wagon. So I've got my pipe cut for the handle. I've got my hole drilled for the pivot. On the other end, there's a coupling. I could change the coupling out for a T, put 2 little nipples, put 2 little caps, and I have a T handle. Or have a piece that screws on that's got a hole in it that you could just put on the back of the mower and put a pin through. You could pull it behind the mower, you could pull it by hand. Anyway, back to this hookup for the wagon. If we take the bolt and a washer, and then another washer, that's what it's going to look like. I don't see a problem with that. Right now I'm out of green paint. I went to the store to get some green paint. They're out of green paint, so we're on standby as far as painting goes. We can go get the handle on. So this has threads, and then you put a nut on there. It's like double nutting, and it's a lock nut. That should stay tight. All we need now is 2 bolts, 2 nuts, however many washers we want to use, and clamp it onto the wagon. So I'm about to have to go to town anyway. I might get 2 bolts like this size, that length. That's really what I need. And on the other end, I was digging through my plumbing department and I found a T, I found a little nipple. What I might do is just use this, a 90 with this nipple and that cap. That'd be your handle for pulling. We'll do that for now. So for my clamp, I like it. It still needs to be painted. I gotta get some paint and I gotta get a bolt and a nut this size. We'll save that one for some other project. Underneath, I left this on. That way if we want to, we can pull it from here or we could strap it onto the trailer using this. This I might leave for now. I might cut it off later. I don't know yet. The length of the handle is just right. I've got a 90, a nipple, and a little cap. That's our handle for pulling it. Once we get this painted, get that painted, get those 2 bolts tight, this wagon's done. Oh, but I kind of need like a John Deere, maybe some stickers, maybe a tag on the back. Gotta see what I can find. So I just came back from the store, picked up these 2 bolts, these 4 nuts. We're gonna get that installed, and I couldn't find any green paint there. I guess John Deere green's a really popular color right now. There, here, in the middle. Just right. Whoops. It's so big it's running over the tripod. And so I just took the handle off. That's when you pull it by hand. Now we can pull it behind a mower with a different attachment. Just flatten out that piece of pipe, cut it off, flatten it out, and drill a hole. If we want to, we could put a nut on there. And now, other than paint, the last thing that has to be done to it So I keep thinking I'm done with this, but then I thought of something else. Let's put some reflectors. This is the same shape on the back of that new to me LT1000. That might be a new orange triangle for the channel. Anyway, right about there. And I've got the shout out to Lonnie95. He gave me some reflectors. I'm thinking there and there. And then I put some more of this orange up in the front areas. Oh, and this just hit me. What if we got a rack off of a 4-wheeler and put it back here? That'd be cool for hauling stuff. And then side reflectors, and the same thing on the other side. So the wagon is officially finished as far as the wagon goes. I even got to keep one of the original decals. I'm going to put this sticker on the back and call it done as far as the wagon. But I'm already thinking about some kind of axle, some kind of gear or pulley, an engine under here, a gas pedal, some way to steer it, a racing seat, maybe a roll cage off of a go-kart. I've got a 5-point harness that's ready to go in there. Leave me a comment. What do you think? It's already running through my head. And then the next thing, how do we make it 4-wheel drive? So here the wagon pulled up beside the John Deere. It's about as big as the whole mower is. I know it's just as wide. I think it's a little bigger than I planned, but I love it. And then the next problem with the size, I want to take it to the river, pull it behind the mower. I don't know if they're both going to fit in the trailer. So I think it's the first time I've been out of the state with Charles. We rode all the way to Georgia. Anyway, I've got the wagon, I've got John Deere, but the river's flooded. There won't be any sand testing today. So the river is still flooded, so I brought the wagon to the beach. There's sand out here to test it in. but I couldn't bring the mower to pull it with. They'd frown on that. Anyway, we'll play in the sand for a little bit, get a couple pictures, get this video out, and then later I'll do another video at the river, do another video at the car shows. Getting random people to drive my wagon, that's cool. I think the baby likes it.
Sorry.
You're good.
Yay! Alright, tell me when.
Oh, you're good?
Huh?
Where to?
Straight. Yep. Yep, go straight. We'll find it. We don't stop giving all we got. Don't give up.
Oh, y'all can ride down that and jump the rocks at the end. I think that's a no.
Remember the time we went from riding?
Here's the wagon used as a fishing cart. I've got my tackle box, the cooler, the fishing poles. Let's go catch some fish. So I'm here with the wagon trying to finish up this video. I got it all pretty much done. Then I stopped by the post office, and in the post office box there is a big letter. This is from a Jonathan in Oregon. Let's get it up and see what's going on. And it feels heavier than your normal, what I'm used to. There's a skinner knife. Let's see if we can skin this thing. It did work. One. Two. Oh, 2 organs and a New York. That's my first New York tag with writing on the back. This is my first and second Oregon tags with writing on the back. Came off of a 1991 Ford Explorer 4-door 4-wheel drive. John Allen. Appreciate it, John Allen. And came off of a 1994 GMC Jimmy 4-door 4-wheel drive. John Allen. New York. Found in a garage in Portland, Oregon. John Allen. Well, John Allen, I really appreciate this. I'm gonna go hang these now. You know, it'd be cool. I've been looking for a John Deere tag, have not found one. So if we did do an Oregon tag, what do you think? Leave me a comment. Tag on the wagon or tag on the wall? So my tag collection goes from one end of the garage all the way to the other end of the garage. On the other end, there's room for 3 more, and John Allen is gonna take care of that. And that is shout out to John Allen and everybody else that sent a tag. This is most of my John Deere collection. A tractor, a wagon, and a mower. I got another little tractor, maybe I'll show you that. And another little tractor, maybe I'll show you those. And I was supposed to show you the rest of my John Deere collection. That's the one I showed you earlier. This old one's still in the box. And another front end loader still in the box. That's my whole John Deere collection. Oh, and new toolbox garage organization video coming soon.